Have you heard that TikTok sound that's like, what's a movie from your childhood that you can guarantee nobody else has even heard of? This is mine. Rock-a-Doodle is a 1992 animated film about the rooster version of Elvis. Sort of. Also, there's magic. Kind of? As well as a third thing to round out this list. It was directed by Don Bluth, who I discovered directed a lot of really good animated kids movies from the 80s and 90s. Like All Dogs Go to Heaven, Thumbelina, The Pebble and the Penguin, and Anastasia. These were all solidly in my viewing rotation as a kid, but Rock-a-Doodle also had its place in our VHS cabinet. Sorry, for any Gen Z viewers out there, a cabinet is like a smaller kind of closet. This movie is only about 75 minutes long, so let's get into it. We open up on this farm where everything is great, and it's all thanks to the rooster, Chanticleer, whose crows actually cause the sun to rise every morning. This chicken is responsible for all life on Earth, except he also chases away all the rain clouds, so there will be drought and famine eventually. But no, everything is great for now. So they're all singing and dancing and having fun, and this is probably a good time to mention that these animators were on their most Disney Pixar anthropomorphic ass shit. Look at the tits on those chickens! God damn! I usually prefer dark meat, but this movie got me craving breasts. Not everyone is actually a fan of Chanticleer though. Specifically, there's this group of like evil owls who hate the sun and the light and just happiness in general.
We hate the sun! That much we know!
They are led by the Grand Duke of Owls, who is a sorcerer? I don't know, it's not explained, but he just kind of breathes glitter and magic happens. So we're just gonna roll with that. Also of note, there is another character named Hunch, who is just utterly bloodthirsty and sort of like the evil bird army's general. So they're not all owls. The Grand Duke calls them creatures of the night at some point, so I guess that's what it is. But they're mostly owls. In my original script, I called Hunch a turkey-necked runty freak, but I think he's just supposed to be a vulture, which I don't think are nocturnal, but maybe he's just in it for the violence or like some sort of sense of avian loyalty. Anyways, one night the Duke sends one of his cronies to attack Chanticleer and stop him from crowing, ostensibly like stopping the sun from rising. Chanticleer does manage to fight off his attacker, but the coup is successful in that he is not able to crow in time for the sun to rise. However, surprise, surprise, the sun still rises. And everyone sees that Chanticleer never really needed to crow to make that happen. He's pretty embarrassed about that. Everybody laughs at him for thinking that. Even though they all also thought that. So Chanticleer leaves the farm in disgrace and heads to the big city. At the same time, it gets dark and rainy on the farm. Coincidence? Then we see that this is all happening within a bedtime story being read by a live-action mom to her little boy Edmund, who is the actual main protagonist of this film. Dad bursts in and says the floodwaters are rising, mirroring the weather conditions of the storybook. He gets the rest of the family to come help get the farm animals to safety and put down sandbags, but Edmund is too little, so they send him to bed. When the mom leaves to help too, she tells Edmund to go to sleep and that she'll be right back, giving big something catastrophic is about to happen vibes. Edmund insists that they just need the rooster from the storybook to crow and chase away the clouds and bring back the sun because he has lost all touch with reality. So he just starts screaming Chanticleer out the window until lightning hits a tree outside and it falls into the house, along with a bunch of cartoon glitters as someone walks down the trunk into Edmund's room.
Chanticleer?
No.
But it's not Chanticleer, it's the Duke, and he is pissed. You see, while Mom was reading, Edmund poked his greasy little fingers on the Duke's page of the storybook, which broke his monocle somehow. Because of magic, I guess. So the Duke belches some glitter on Edmund and shrieks the live-action little boy into a cartoon cat to make him more digestible. And, I'm a cat lover, but this might be the ugliest kitten I've ever seen. Why are his ears so close together? Why does he have tufts of hair that make him look like a balding 35-year-old? The kid is adorable, but oh my god, who designed this character? A medieval painter? As the Duke is about to eat Edmund, the dog from the storybook jumps in to help, and Edmund sends the owl packing by shining a flashlight in his eyes. He then realizes he's a furry.
I'm a furry!
And rightfully puts on clothes. Yes, God, please cover your shame. The other animals from the cartoon farm also come in, and as the floodwaters rise and begin to pour in through the hole in the wall, they all jump onto Edmund's furniture to stay afloat. The dog, whose name is Patu, says that they need to find Chanticleer, apologize for laughing, and bring him home to crow and bring back the sun. Yep, that is the plot of the rest of this film, and I personally have no issues with that. So some of the farm animals stay behind with only a flashlight for protection while their A-team sails out in a toy trunk. We got Edmund, of course. We got Patu. We've also got a mouse named Peepers, who is a strong, independent rodent woman, and Snipes the magpie, who is a useless, sexist piece of garbage.
Girls, they think they know everything. Why don't you run home, be a mousewife, make cheese?
There's a scene of the gang having trouble sailing and then getting attacked by the owl lackeys led by Hunch before the heroes disappear down a drainage pipe. It's a good thing this trunk is somehow watertight. Surely no one will freak out and start pecking holes in the walls.
Help! We're trapped! We're trapped like rats!
Damn it, Snipes! Eventually, the trunk falls apart and they almost drown in the sewer, but clinging to a barrel to stay above water, they realize they've just made it to the big city.
So beautiful.
So they start looking around for Shanti, and they cross paths a couple times without realizing, before hopelessly settling on the sidewalk underneath of a giant neon sign of their friend. Finally, Peepers turns around and they realize that Chanticleer is now a famous rock star known as the King. The King performs the titular song,
I wanna rock-a-doodle.
and the crowd goes wild. But behind the scenes, Chanticleer is depressed and he's considering going home to the farm. His manager, however, a fox named Pinky, tells him his old friends don't really care about him. Listen to that adoring crowd, they're the ones that love you. Speaking of the farm, the situation there is pretty dire as owls are circling the hole in the roof above the farm animals. The flashlight has begun flickering and the owls tell them that when the batteries finally die, they will swoop in and eat them all. Which, like, owls definitely eat mice and rabbits. And maybe the occasional chicken, but there is a whole ass pig down there. The Duke tips off Pinky that the gang is there to take Chanticleer back home. Pinky answers the phone and calls the Duke boss, so I guess they know each other, but that is the only line that establishes this relationship. In response to this news, Pinky bans dogs, cats, birds, and mice from attending the King's shows. I can't imagine this would be good for business in a city full of animals, but what would I know? I'm not a business major. I get pushed. Because of the ban, literally everyone wears penguin costumes to the show, and last time I checked, penguins are birds. But okay. Now we get to see the King in the iconic Elvis jumpsuit performing another song that's similar to I've Been Everywhere, famously sung by Johnny Cash. A waiter notices that the gang is there in disguise, even though literally everyone is wearing the same disguise, because of course Snipes fucks it up. And there's some silly shenanigans as they run from security, like Pinky makes the security guards put on shark costumes because the show is underwater themed and he doesn't want to mess that up. But Edmund manages to put a note in Chanticleer's hand. Wing. Pinky is also on top of this, however, because he sends out this sexy pheasant named Goldie to distract his moneymaker, which he successfully does by kissing the King, singing a little song, and taking the note before he can read it. So now Chanticleer has all but forgotten about leaving the city as he canoodles with Goldie and she pours milk in his mouth? Or beak? Just like 3 glasses in a row right down his gullet? Is this romance?
Isn't it romantic?
Is it? Hey babe, I brought you a glass of milk. I thought I could pour it down your gullet in a single gulp. Okay. Edmund and his friends are having trouble getting in touch with Chanticleer since he's got bodyguards around him at all times, but they think they might be able to reach Goldie instead. So since the kiss incident, the King and Goldie have landed some movie deals and are currently shooting a picture together. Edmund manages to sneak into Goldie's trailer, but since Pinky had told her that the dog, the cat, the bird, and the mouse are bad and they're out to get the King, she won't talk to Edmund and she just starts throwing things at him until he runs away. Immediately after this, the group gets captured by Pinky's bouncers, but not before Snipes can spew some more sexist rhetoric.
What happened?
Ah, she's a woman.
What?
Somebody get this bird a microphone. I smell the next big alpha podcaster. Goldie sees him get trapped and somehow this shows her the error of her ways and like changes her mind. I don't really know why, but over the course of this whole ruse, she's like fallen for the King too, so I guess that's it. So she confesses to Chanticleer and gives him the note from earlier and tells him that Pinky has his friends trapped there at the studio. Pinky cuts in and threatens to hurt the group if the King and Goldie don't finish filming this movie. Meanwhile, in the trailer where the gang is locked up, Hunch, who's been following them this whole time, inadvertently releases them, but not before giving us some solid slapstick. During the chaos with Hunch, Chanticleer breaks into the trailer and Patu accidentally hits him over the head with a frying pan, killing him instantly.
He's dead, he's dead, he's dead.
Not really, but he is passed out for like the majority of the rest of the movie. Pinky's guards roll up on motorcycles and the good guys sneak up into the pink Cadillac that is towing this trailer. In the ensuing chase, they crash into the studio water tower and get separated from Peepers. So they're climbing up the tower to try and get back to Peepers and save her. Pinky honestly seems more concerned about his car at this point, but he does send the bouncers up after them. The water tower is about to topple over, and the good guys are barely hanging on when a helicopter swoops in out of nowhere and turns sideways to catch them in midair. Can you imagine if they miss? Just like, bzz, they're sliced in twain. But no, they're saved, and the pilot of the helicopter is Peepers. She commandeered this whole aircraft like the girl boss she is. Back at the farm, things are incredibly bleak as the flashlight's battery finally runs out and the waiting owls snatch up all the animals to eat them. But at the last minute, our heroes show up in the helicopter and they use the spotlight to dispel the evil owls and save the farm animals. Hunch swoops into the helicopter and messes everything up as usual, and it makes them crash, but they're all okay and they all manage to swim to a little island as the floodwaters continue to rise. Chanticleer is starting to come to, but he's still very discombobulated. He's trying and failing to crow, and Edmund is chanting Chanticleer, which is a very awkward word to chant, but the Duke burps some more glitter on Edmund and knocks him on his ass, so he's fucking dead now, I guess. animals start chanting Chanticleer's name too, and the Duke just like starts glittering himself, and he's just like getting bigger, and he's just becoming so large and vast and gigantic. He's frankly a behemoth. Really getting my money's worth on this one. So the Duke traps Chanticleer buried neck deep in the ground, and then puts a cage of like tree branches over top of him. Also, the Duke becomes like a tornado. Okay, I've mostly taken for granted the fact that he like has magic, but why does he? Why does the Duke have magic? No one else seems to have abilities like this. Will we get answers? There's only 15 minutes of playtime left, and 9 of those are credits, so what do you think? Okay, so Chanticleer is struggling trying to extricate himself as the floodwaters are rising around him. It is not looking good when suddenly he just smiles and crows, and then he flies into the sky in a beam of light and kind of like orbits the Earth, like when Superman turns time back, but he's raising the sun. So I guess maybe Shanti is magic too? I don't know. But the sun finally rises over the horizon, and when that light hits the Duke, it shrinks him down into a teeny weeny little baby. He's even smaller than the mice and the chicks that they were about to eat earlier, and Hunch uses this as advantage to chase the Duke off into the sunset with a fly swatter. Dude, I told y'all, his bloodlust is unquenchable. This man's is chaotic evil and loyal to no one. Now the sun is back, there's a rainbow, the owls are gone, everything is back how it should be. Oh shit, except Edmund is still dead. But as the sun shines on his corpse, he morphs back into a little boy, and we start to hear his mom saying his name as he wakes up in his bed with his room all back to normal. Edmund, a live-action kid once more, runs to the window to see the sun and tells his mom that Chanticleer brought it back. There's some final narration in which Patu says that Edmund's mom didn't believe him, but she also didn't know what stopped the rain. And the weird thing about that statement is that rain stops. Like, that's just how weather works. As you can see, it looks like it's gonna be wet out for the foreseeable future, but check back in for another update tomorrow at 9:30. Back to you, Jen. Oh no, can't we do something about all this rain? Not much. We'll just have to wait it out, and in the meantime, don't forget your umbrella. Surely someone can put a stop to this. The storm system will eventually pass or break up. I'll keep my eye on the Doppler radar, and everyone at home can keep their eye here on Channel 12. I still wonder, who'll stop the rain? Isn't that like a song? Who? Okay, there's this fucking rooster. But that's really the end of the movie. There's one more song, which is just a reprise of the first one, except this time Edmund is green screened in dancing with all the farm animals, and then the credits roll. Okay, if you've paid close attention, you've probably noticed the giant gaping plot hole in this movie. At the beginning of the movie, it is proven that Chanticleer has no power over the sun. But by the end of the movie, he does? And all the farm animals are like, oh, what fools we've been! And did the sun somehow take away the Grand Duke's powers completely, or is he just gonna be like biding his time and building his strength for his next attack? Basically, everything is exactly the same as it was at the beginning of the movie, except now Shanti has a hot babe. Okay, makes sense, no further questions. Thank you so much for watching my video. This was my first time doing a movie review on my channel, so I hope you enjoyed it as much as I have. Please subscribe and let me know if there's a weird movie from your childhood that I should take a look at. And ideally the title, so I don't have to guess. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!